Hey guys, Trev from the Struggling Artist Podcast, and I want to talk to you real quick about Struggling Artist Record Club. The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk-adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today.
You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Today, our guests are Kyle and Kevin from Oh, the Humanity. I've been meaning to get these guys on for a while. What a good conversation we had. We go over everything from when the band started to their latest record, Ground to Dust, which drops this Friday, January 24th. Stick around to the end of the episode to hear a song off of that album. This is episode 315 of the Struggling Artist Podcast, Struggling with Oh, the Humanity. We could have recorded that whole conversation. People hate tech talk, though. People hate. I'm like, we could have had this whole conversation about the tech talk, but people don't want to hear about microphones and shit like that.
There's a joke that, like, I mean, it's not really a joke. It's like a thing where, like, Jim and Chris and I are such gear nerds and pedal nerds that, like, if one of us brings up a gear thing, that's basically the band chat has been derailed for a day. and then I will get like the off text from Kevin that'll be like, let me know when you guys are done and I will rejoin the band conversation. I'm just like, dude, sorry. Like, you know, Jim and I have been friends for like 25 years, and that has been the bulk of our conversations for 25 years.
That's
It's
awesome.
going to be all boss pedal memes for the next 4 hours.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, whatever.
That's great. Kyle, Kevin, thanks for joining me tonight and talking with me. And again, like I said, thanks for pushing it back. They're pushing it forward today. Would that be pushing it forward or pushing it back? I don't know.
When were we supposed to do it?
It was supposed to be tomorrow. It was supposed to be tomorrow.
Oh, so we pushed it up. Yeah, we
pushed it up. There we go. I don't know how to talk. This is again. I have no idea how I have a podcast. I I'll try to throw like some kind of weird like analogy that everybody knows, and I'll butcher it every time. Like it's ridiculous.
Endearing.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I had mentioned this through the text talk or whatever, but like, so my introduction to you guys was, you have a 10-inch, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that was my introduction. Tired Ears. I got that through Mark Lynn's Record Club.
Oh, cool.
Back in, I don't even know now. That was like one of the first things he might have sent, I think, like back then. Right? 2017, 2018, around there. Does that sound about right?
Steve helped us put that out on Ocelot Records, and I know Mark took some copies.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love Steve. Steve was a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I produced his band's last record, the Taken by Vultures record.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. and
Yeah, that was
talking about hopefully coming back to do some more at some point.
Nice. That was so Mark. I wouldn't want to say. How do I will say gifted. He gifted me the record club. So I run the record club now, and I used that record. It was really good. Everyone loved it. So
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that. I love that EP. That was a cool time for the band. Like we put out a full length, like it was like an amalgamation of songs that like existed before like the band existed, and then stuff that we wrote together. But like that EP was the first thing that we all kind of wrote as a group all together. So yeah, I was that's one of my favorite things that we put out.
now you guys are a 5-piece?
Yep.
Have you always been a 5-piece?
Yep. The lineup has been exactly the same since 2012, except 2 years ago, our bass player Andy stepped down and Kyle stepped in. But otherwise, it's been the same.
3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years. Jeez,
Yes,
3 years
yeah.
ago. Yeah, same. It's been the same lineup the whole time, with that exception.
That's cool, man. That doesn't happen often. But I mean, by your music, you guys sound like a really good, like a fun band to like go see too. I bet you know what I mean. So, unfortunately, I haven't made it out there to see you guys yet. You played a bunch of stuff this past year, though, right?
Yeah, we played all around. The biggest thing we did was we went to England for a week, which is the first time we traveled to Europe to play shows. We did a bunch of odd things around the greater Boston area too, but that was like the big tour this year. And next year, or if this comes out in January, this year we'll be playing out a bunch. So like we'll be playing a ton.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, was it the first time you ever went over there to tour with with any band? Yeah.
Yeah. It's something I always wanted to do. And Helen from One Fall hit me up. I think it was like January of this year. I was like, would you guys have any interest? And I brought up at practice, and like, I'm sure people who are in bands can relate. Like, there's some ideas that you think everyone's like largely going to be into, and then there's other things you raise where you kind of have an idea of how people are going to react. And everyone's just like, yeah, that could be cool. And I was like, oh,
That's cool.
I also think that could be cool. So then like we just like started the planning process, and like Helen's a total badass and like did a lot of the orchestration of that whole run. And yeah, it was a freaking blast, man. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It seems like it seems like I since the last record I've seen you guys like go into like you played like the couple festivals, right? You guys have played a couple festivals now. And
yeah, last year we did Camp Pennsylvania and Pooza Fest and the Fest in Gainesville. Yeah, we've been lucky. We got lucky that year to do all those in the same year. And we've been lucky to go down to Fest 5 times now, which is crazy that how quickly the time has gone by. But yeah, it probably was like total shows this year lighter than usual, just because like we've been doing all the work to get like the record buttoned up, and like, and then the tour, like the England tour took a lot of planning and stuff. But yeah, 2025 will be a year of all of the shows.
Nice,
for sure.
Nice. Now, did you guys?
Yes.
You guys, the new records. Who's putting that? Engineer Records.
Yes,
In
so,
Thousand Islands, right? Thousand
you got
Islands.
it. Yeah. We Sell the Heart in the U.S., Thousand Island in Canada, and then Engineer is doing the U.K.
Oh, okay. So all right. So Andy is involved. I thought I saw it on Andy's his Instagram. Okay, cool. Yeah. We're Andy's been on the show. He's been here.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh yeah, we're all about.
I'm gonna go back and listen to his episode.
Degrees of separation here.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We played like right before his band Tsunami Bomb, or like a couple bands before his band at Camp Pennsylvania last year, and in 2023, and it was one of, like, we got a little bit of FaceTime because we have known him because he's put out records from bands we're all friends with, like the Next Scars record. He's done stuff with Jukebox Romantics, I think, and like, so we kind of knew him, and then they were, it was just the sort of like, hey man, you guys are real good, and we're like, oh yeah, thanks, like that sort of the things you do at shows. And then we saw him again at Fest, and I don't remember if Tsunami Bomb was playing or if he was just there as a vendor. I think they were playing as well.
Yeah,
but we ended up, it was kind of a like, oh, hey, when you think this is going to be finished, like, I can't guarantee anything, but I might be interested in talking. And then we had already sort of had a conversation with Bruno from Thousand Islands, who was basically like, same thing, like, hey, when you guys get your record finished, like, let's talk. So we're just like, oh, we don't, and we just ended up partnering with both of them, and like each is going to handle a little bit of the distribution, and it's been working out pretty well.
Cool. So I get a ton of like PR stuff from all these PR companies, and I always see Thousand Islands in there. Where are they? I think they're in Canada.
They're Montreal.
Yeah.
They're in Montreal. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, because like I see a lot of stuff, and they're cool bands. I just like sometimes we just get a little overwhelmed with like PR stuff, and by the time I look at it, I'm like, oh man, it's been like 2 months. I don't know if they're gonna like want to deal with me now. You know, that's awesome. That's awesome. And like, so you guys put out the last record yourselves, right? So this must be like a pretty awesome thing to happen.
So our first full length we put out ourselves. The last one we did with a label that's no longer in existence, called Hellminded Records. Based out of Jersey. Yeah, that was cool, and like it was very weird though, because it was like we put out a record while the pandemic was still a thing. Like we put the finishing touches on tracking that literal days before the lockdown started. So we did like the whole mixing process and artwork and all the promotion stuff all from being locked in our respective houses. So like that was it. It was cool to have something to look forward to, but it was a very weird process not being able to be around each other and like be playing shows to support the record and all the stuff that when you're in a band that you do to help promote a record.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time it feels a little more organic, and Andy and Bruno and Cynthia have all been wonderful to work with, and it's just like, you know, we're still like 90% DIY band, but like anytime you can bring in someone else to help you with things that, especially things you're not good at, like promoting something, you know, I just want as many people to hear it as possible. So like if there's folks who want to sell records and hopefully make a little money for themselves in the process and help us put out the art that we care about and do it in a cool way, like, yeah, to your point, that's like a beautiful thing, and it's been awesome to work with them on this.
So, I mean, like, I'm all about DIY. I do everything with this podcast by myself, basically. You know what I mean? So, like, I know, like, there's like a badge of honor when you do it, but like, there's a weird thing in the punk community sometimes where, like, if you get help, like, people don't want to fuck with you, and it's like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, think back to all the problems Against Me had when they first got started, because they got signed like right away, right? So, like, they had this thing, and like, it's just, it drives me insane. It's like, don't you want, like, my whole thing is, and I've always been this way, and me too, like, I romanticize music in bands so much that, like, I think everyone's rich already, you know what I mean? So, you know, until I really got into the thick of it, I was like, yeah, this isn't, like, anything like I thought it would be. But, like, it's, why don't you want, like, people who just, they don't want a person to do well, or they want you to do just well enough? You know?
I think it's that thing. It's like this band you kept in your back pocket for so long is no longer in your back pocket, and then like,
okay, it's not just yours anymore, right? And
yeah,
now
that's
it's everyone
like,
else's.
you see, like, you know, like normies listening to it, or you know, people who you would like, they're not in our scene. Like, you're like, you know, people talk like, this is like, I remember watching the Green Day Behind the Music, and Trey Cool was talking about how Good Riddance was like people's prom songs that year, and he was like, we weren't even invited to our prom. What's this, like, why is this people's prom songs? It's that thing of like, we're like these dirty, like, because you come from that underground of like us against the world, and then when everyone's accepting it and everyone's into it, who like weren't, it's that thing of like, yeah, you only like them now. It was like, I was seeing them play to 5 people and like the sound guy, and it's like, yeah, okay, man, good for you, that's awesome.
Yeah,
like,
see,
I didn't discover them until then. I don't know what you want me to say. Like,
I've always been the opposite. Like, I want everyone, when I hear like I was the dude who would show up with a cassette tape and be like, guys, you got to listen to this. Like, we got to listen to this right now. Like,
yeah.
And I'm still like that. Like, I have the record club now. Like, now I get to do that on a broader scale to people that I've never met across the country. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey,
it's awesome.
I love this album. and I need you to hear it and tell me if you love it. And I haven't missed too many times. There's only been like one or two people that like didn't like a single album. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like it was like I'm always afraid that I'm going to send something and everyone's going to be like, we're out of here. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? But it hasn't happened yet, you know? So
for the record, those Against Me records are incredible. The ones that are the sellout records, those are some of their best records. And I love that era of Against Me.
Yeah.
They were the same songs. They just had like better production.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I sit there and I'm like, if some podcast was like, hey, podcast company was like, we're gonna buy your podcast, I'd be like, see ya, take it. Like, yeah, I'll start another one. You know what I mean? Like, you want it? All right. Do you want me to do it or not? Or if not, like, you can just pay me and take it away. That's cool. Like, I'm 43. Let's be real here. I'm 43. Like, we were talking about radio earlier. Like, I couldn't go do an internship right now. You know what I mean?
Kevin and I joke about it all the time. It's like, you know, we'll be like on the road and it'll be like, dude, what I would give to just have someone to book tours for us. Like, you know, someone like, you know, like I'm friends with like the Make War dudes. And like, if you want to get Make War to play your show, you got to go through like their booking agent. And it's like, oh my God, just to have a booking agent.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So,
like,
and that
would be I would kill for that. Like just to go through another person who can do all the sorting for you.
I also see that too. And I'm like, cause like, it's not like, cause people will get mad because a band doesn't come through their town. And it's like 9 out of 10 times, it's not that band. It's the booking agent. And two, like, how do they know they're supposed to come through your little town? Like, hey, you guys didn't come to Northbridge, Massachusetts. I had to go to Worcester. You know what I mean? Like it's incredible. And the other thing is, like, I sit there and I wish, like, I don't know, maybe one day I'll be in a position where I can help bands more with that kind of thing. Because like I see it and I'm like, I get it. Because like y'all aren't marketers. You're musicians. You're artists. You know, like you don't have to. Like you shouldn't have to do that. Like you're making the art. Like now you got to work. Now you got to stress yourself out with planning a tour and you know what I mean, and like marketing. I hate marketing. I had somebody doing our social media was run by somebody else for like 3 years because I just couldn't stand it, you know. And now I'm doing it again, but like it's like, oh, man, it's tough. But like, you know, like it's just like people. I don't know. People just like if you had like a label that could do all that for you, it's who cares? You know what I mean? You're not selling out. You're not selling out. You're going up. You know what I mean? Well, like I don't know.
The cool thing about working with labels like the ones we're working with are like they're also people who are just in it to have fun and put out good music with cool people. You know what I mean? Like they're people. They're one person small businesses or two people small businesses who are just like passionate about music and trying to help bands. They're not in it to make a ton of money or to get famous or like whatever motivates people to do that sort of thing. They're just like. They're just cool people. Like when we were hanging with Bruno at Camp Pennsylvania, like his whole family was there. He was vending for the weekend, and we were just like chilling, talking, getting to know each other. Like they just love it, and they're doing it because they love it. It's the same reason we do what we do is because we love it. So it's just like it's just easy, and like if that's what motivates you is just to do cool stuff with cool people and make friendships and put out great art. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing at all.
None of us think we're going to get like rich and famous out of this whole thing.
I hope you do. You should. You should. Let me tell you why
it'd be cool, but I like that's not the expectation. It's like
yes, for sure. Yeah. And like, but this is. Let me tell you why I think Oh the Humanity should be rich and famous.
Tell me. I'd love to hear.
So you guys are a punk band that has this like you guys stand out because you have these like metal riffs that just pop up and like they don't even pop up. They're throughout the whole album. I listen to it and like it's amazing. And like I don't hear punk rock doing that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like thanks, tell me about that process. Like where do you like when did you guys decide like this is how the sound is going to be? Like has the sound been this way since 2012?
Well, so we're a mishmash of a bunch of friends who listen to different things, right? Like Chris, Kyle, and Jim are all metalheads to varying degrees. Like Teeny is likes pop punk, indie rock. We were both in a ska band in college, like various things. And we all kind of intersect where like Propagandhi, Wilhelm, like shreddy kind of fast melodic punk lives. Like that's kind of where we all intersect in our like taste profile for music. So like when we get together, someone will have a chord progression, and then someone will put some noodly things over it, or Jim will come with like straight up just like riffs on riffs on riffs ready to go, and then it's like, okay, well, what's the vocal melody going to be over this? Like, how do we bring this together as like a cohesive song? So it just kind of depends. Like sometimes it starts with I have a vocal idea, or sometimes it starts with riffs, but in the end, like we just kind of like it just kind of became what we do. And then with Kyle joining, Kyle also shreds on bass. So now we have 3 people playing stringed instruments who shred. So like when you listen to like, well, you've heard the whole album. Hopefully the people listening to this will have heard it by now too. But like the end of side A and the end of side B are like really heavy riffy songs, and those are Kyle songs. So those are ones that he brought to the table. This is the first thing we're putting out where Kyle has played on it. Those are Kyle tunes. Kyle also a metalman and writes lots of riffs. So yeah, it's like it kind of comes from all over the place. The poppier side of stuff tends to come from me, and sometimes from Chris. The heavier stuff tends to come from Jim, and now Jim and Kyle.
I feel like I've seen stuff like that before, but like they lean too heavy into one or the other, and you guys just have this perfect blend. And again, I mean, I remember like so Jeff Bousquet brought the self-titled album to one of our roundtables, and I was like, they put out a new album, because like the last thing I had was the 10-inch, right? So I went and got it, and I was like, this is so good. And we discussed it. This was like 2 years ago now, or probably 3 years ago when he started, I think, when he first came on for the roundtable. But like, it's just like, I don't know. It just, to me, it stands out, and like I could see why you guys got booked on all these festivals and like got to go where you've gone so far with the touring with it, because the sound is so good. And now like you're gonna have this new album and to back it up too, right? Because like it's, I mean, not that like everyone 2020 and 2021, no one was doing anything, right? So you guys got to bring that album to the forefront when you went out the last couple times, right? So that's good, because that's kind of what you wanted to do. I hope you guys sold records when you're at these festivals and stuff like that, because like it seemed like in the videos I've seen from from you guys and from other people that happen to be there, like you guys were like tearing it up. Like it was everyone was into you. That's a cool thing. I just think there's something special when you can kind of do that perfect blend of something. You know what I mean? Because like, so I grew up listening to all sorts of shit. Like my mom listened to like 80s synth freestyle stuff. Like I love so much music. Like my father was like classic rock. My stepfather was like hair metal. So I kind of got my aunt was punk. Like I kind of got this like this broad palette of music that I love. But like when I started listening to my own stuff, it was like, yeah, I was listening to like heavy metal and like in like, I don't know, whatever you want to call the Doors, you know what I mean? And then like, but then like punk rock too. Like it just, to me, I don't know, it just fits. So like hearing stuff that kind of, like I said, that are kind of like in two different worlds kind of come together and sound like it belongs, I think is a great thing. And you guys do a really good job at it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think it's a product of us all being really good friends and playing together for a long time. So when someone brings something to the table, it's like, okay, let's see where this is going to go. And there's times where in the past, maybe something leans a little too heavy and I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to sing over this. And I still run into that now sometimes, but it gets less and less scary, we'll call it, as we go deeper into writing more songs together and and just like having faith that like, yeah, we're going to figure this out. Like it maybe this isn't something we've done before. Maybe this is heavier than what we usually do, or maybe it's poppier than what we usually do, or whatever. But just like, let's just see it through and see where it goes. And I think with this record, we were so lucky that Kyle is an audio engineer, and so he was able to kind of bring us through the process of like thorough pre-production. So like actually multi-track demoing every single song, listening to every single song, making edits, making changes, re-demoing all the songs, making sure we are happy with them. So like there were no surprises when we actually went into the studio and record. And I think that process, I think my own personal opinion on why everything sounds a little more cohesive on this record, and probably the most cohesive thing that we've put out is because of that process, like the thorough vetting of the songs and like really working through everything thoroughly and making sure that like no stone was left unturned before we actually went and recorded.
Yeah, I think by the time we got into the studio with Trevor, some of those songs we had recorded like 3 or 4 times in full, just because it was like I'd mic everyone up at practice. We'd record, and then we'd all like do our different parts, and Chris would come over here and do some like guitar leads, and then Kevin would have like vocals, and then he'd redo them and all these things, and then all of a sudden we're like halfway through the demo process, and Teeny's like, "Oh, I have a new idea for a drum thing." So bring all the stuff back, have him record over the, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But just to be like, whatever the most recent version of the demo is, I wanted to make sure we had it, just so when it came time to like go into the studio, it's like, because we were doing it with an outside engineer. So it was like, studios cost money, and I'm not keen on wasting money in that where like you can avoid it. So it's like, yeah, you do experimentation in the studio like always, but for the most part, you just go in and you're just like, you're playing your part, you're doing your job. And then now it's just execution you have to worry about. Not like sitting out for like half a day being like, what do I want to do for this guitar part? Do we want to do this? What's that? And it's, and sometimes that's fun, but you do too much of that and you're like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah. Kyle, does like the work brain and the creative brain, like, do they kind of mold together? Like, do you get the same satisfaction out of doing like what you do for work with sound engineering as you do from like creating music?
Yes, I do.
Oh, really?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. It seemed like because when we were talking about all the tech stuff earlier, you were like, you know what I mean? Like
I like I nerd out on that stuff. And like, there's like the process, there's that recording process that I really get into. And so much of, like when I make bands records, I'm doing that. But then when you get to be creative, when you're doing like, recording certain parts or in a mixing stage or whatever, I feel like I can sort of balance that stuff fairly well. I enjoy doing both things equally. So it's like when I get an opportunity to like work on a record where I have to balance being professional and also being a little bit like, ooh, what fun stuff can we do? Like, that's fun to me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. I think, yeah. So like, I never had like a job or a career where I was like that, but I always just overworked.
Oh, same.
So it's cool that you can kind of meld it together. I think if I could do this kind of stuff, like interviewing people and talking with people, I think that would be pretty cool. But it's not going to happen. I'm not.
If I could,
I'm not Joe Rogan.
You're not eating
cool.
like horse paste or DMT or maybe you might be. I don't know.
I mean, there's a time and place, Yeah. So they definitely meld together. But is it two different things like that satisfy you? You know what I'm saying? Like I know when I write and when I do this stuff, like I get two different kind of like feelings from it, or is it just it's all the same because it's all within the same world?
No, I mean they scratch different itches. It's it's like being in the studio and being live. And I'm a freelance audio engineer, so like I'll sometimes make records and I'll sometimes be mixing live bands, and sometimes I'm doing corporate AV. And so like there's things I enjoy about doing all of those different facets. I mean, I don't love doing corporate AV, but I like the fact that it pays my bills. Yeah. But it's like when you're in the studio work scratches a certain itch because you can be really meticulous, and then when you're playing live, it's like, well, I don't have to be meticulous. I just have to go out and give her for like a half hour. And like, that's also that's a different thing. And live is great because it's like so instantaneous. Like you sort of have to leave mistakes behind and you can't take any of it with you. It's just like, once it's done, it's done. We're no longer playing or the show's over. Whereas like in a studio, it's like, you're like constantly going back and revising things and remixing things. And that can sometimes be good and that can sometimes be bad. But like there's things I like about that as well.
Nice,
but I like, it's just, they just scratch different itches.
Yeah, I got you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Kevin, like, do you prefer recording over playing live, or do you like performing more than recording?
Oh, I hate recording.
Yeah.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Fair enough.
And I mean, I say that affectionately. Like, I love having the final process. I love people hearing the music. I love creating music with my friends. The actual push record and sing into a microphone over and over again, not for me. But like, I will say, like, having been as prepared as we were for this process, it was less painful than past experiences. Where like, I actually like set up a vocal booth in my garage to like do more pre-production at home, because like I needed to like really get serious about like rehearsing these songs over and over and like writing harmonies and like getting into the weeds on some of the songs that weren't there yet. So like this time going into the studio, it was a little less so than past records, because I felt like really ready. On past records where we didn't do as much pre-production, there was a little bit of going to the studio and be like, I'm pretty sure I know how this is gonna go, but we're gonna figure it out all together.
Have to.
But so like, yeah, I love playing live. Is my favorite thing in the world. There's other than time with my family and friends, like there's literally nothing better in the world than the 30 minutes I get to play. Yeah. But I love having a record in hand. I love writing new music. I love people hearing the songs that I care a lot about. But boy, oh boy, I do not like recording.
Well, let's talk about Ground to Dust a little bit. Where like what time frame was this being written, or was it kind of like just songs you've had and you brought them later on, or?
Yeah, so these were the songs basically that like right after we started getting back together post-pandemic, or even I actually think Love Irresolute Chris was working on probably still he had that like during the pandemic, probably the.
Yeah, well, he showed that to us. This is before I was in the band. We went on like a camping trip in the middle of COVID, when it was like, it was okay to be outside with people. So it's like a bunch of us was like, oh, let's go camping. And Chris just brought his acoustic. And this is before I was in the band, and he was playing the chords of what became Love Irresolute. And it was one of those like, oh, that's pretty neat. And like for me at the time was just like, oh, I'm looking forward to hearing when you guys come out with that song. And then I think when I joined the band, you guys already had like a practice-based demo of Last Gasp.
Yeah.
I remember those were the two songs that like I knew existed. And then right after I joined the band, you and I had like, we demoed Blues at my house, and we started working on like Worth Nothing, because we did those two singles.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, it's everything since the last record came out. And yeah, so Kyle joined early in that writing process. So while I said those two songs were like Kyle songs, by that I mean like, it's often that someone will bring 80% of a song to the table, or what we think is going to be the song to the table, and then we kind of work through it together and change parts and, you know, reshuffle things or whatever. But his fingerprints on all the songs on the record. But yeah, it's everything we've written in like the last three and a half years, something like that. Nice.
Can you tell me for the album cover, you know where that is?
The Sutton Drive-In in Sutton, Massachusetts.
It is.
Yep. That's so as we were making the record, there was, there's always the talk about like album names and what we want the thing to look like. And Kevin had really wanted to go with photos. Everything else had been like artwork, which the artwork's great. I love the artwork on all those past releases, but I know Kevin was like, he wanted to do something different for this. He wanted to do photos. So we reached out to Brittany Rose Queen, who's like one of the best photographers out there, let alone from the greater Boston area. And she sent us just folders of random photos at different places she took. And it was like, some of the stuff was cool. Some of the stuff like was cool, but didn't fit the theme or whatever. And I remember seeing that, and I was like really attracted to that, because it was just like everything just decaying and falling apart and being like, almost post-apocalyptic of like, like humans haven't touched this in years, but this thing is still kind of there. But then nature's slowly taking over.
I think it's gone now, though. This is the one that's right on 146 in Sutton, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it burned down like a couple years ago.
Oh, like the whole structure.
Yeah, like something happened and it went. Yeah, everything that was like in the back is like gone. Like it's all. And now I think they tore it down.
I'm on Spectrum News out of Worcester right now, and there's an article from April of 2024. Yeah, and it's showing everything. I see the little. I see the marquee, which is from the cover photo.
Yeah,
and then everything else. I see that little snack bar that's on the. There's like a shot inside in the gatefold or in the insert, the building from the insert. It looks like it's getting torn down. That bums me out.
It's so funny because like I'm looking at it and I was like, that looks like the one on 146. And I used to drive by it every day. Like I live right off of 146. Yeah. So, and then I remember when there was a fire there in recent years, and then now they've torn it down and now it's like, they've got like,
it's going to be a trucking repair facility.
Yeah. They've got all sorts of trucks in there now and there's like mountains high of dirt but I'm cool. It's cool that you have that photo because like, that's the only evidence left now, right? Really, is photos of
it.
That's crazy. That's so weird that I saw because I mean any drive-in theater is going to look like that, right? Well, that's not operational, but I was like, that looks just like the one up the road.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. I am so happy I asked about that. What about for Gutted? Is that from the same?
That I think is the screen.
Yeah, that is the screen that was there.
So basically, when I know when we messaged her and was like, "Oh, like these photos," so then she was basically like, "Oh, I have a whole other set of photos from that." So it was basically like picked the cover, picked the back cover, picked the insert, and then we had these like leftover ones that were cool. And like the Gutted one is from that. I think the Lever Resolute one is not from that, but it was like the Gutted one is from that same section. But it was just like, I kind of at one point, I think I wanted that to be the cover. I remember that was like a discussion. And then like it didn't get, everyone voted on the other thing. But then I was like, oh, well, I want to use this for like the Gutted single. That could be cool. And but everyone, I believe that's just like the screen or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So I know there was like in a one, I don't know. Sorry, we're going off in this tangent, but there was like 4 in the area. There was one in Worcester in the Edgemere area. There was this one. And then there's 2 operational ones, one in Mendon and then one in, I want to say it's Smithfield, Rhode Island, which is like right up the road from this one. But and it's for me, like when I moved out here, I was like, whoa, they still have these things? Because like I hadn't seen one.
I've been to the Mendon one.
Yeah, have you? I haven't been there. I haven't like, I feel like I haven't had anybody that wanted to go. That's kind of
during the pandemic.
That's like a group experience. Like you can't go into a drive-in alone. I don't know if a drive-in theater alone. I don't know if that's like, I don't know. They might
during
think
the
you're
pandemic,
a serial killer.
during like the early days of the pandemic when it was still like shelter in place, they were doing a drive-in movie theater at the Topsfield Fairgrounds. And I live in Salem. Topsfield's a 20-minute drive. And so my partner Helen from One Fall and I, like several times during the pandemic, were like, it was like, oh, they're showing Jaws. Let's go see Jaws. They're showing Back to the Future, whatever. Like, they were just showing classic movies. It was something to do when we had just been like locked up in the house all day, just like being miserable.
That's cool. That's cool. And man, that's so rad that I recognize that photo. That doesn't happen often. I'm a nincompoop. You know what I mean? So, all right. So I don't know. You guys want to talk about a couple of the songs on the record too? Because like when this comes out, the record will be out. I'll make sure of that. Like, so we're not giving away anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's talk about Gutted because that to me. Well, let's talk about Gutted, and I got to talk about a song if it's called Upper Respiratory Infection.
Upper Respiratory Infection.
Let's start with Gutted though. Tell me about it.
Yeah, Gutted is the song from the record that we've been playing live for a couple of years. I think it's the one that we all kind of all fell in love with. Like when we were done writing, we're like, oh, we got to play this one live. It's just like it's so much fun to play. And it's like such a good kind of like opening song. We've been playing it like towards the beginning of the set. And, it kind of has a little bit of everything that we like to do. Like it has like a, kind of like a punchy chorus. It has some cool noodlies and riffies in it. It's got the fast shreddy guitar solo in it. The slow banging, kind of like bridge part at the end. Like I think it kind of like is a little 2.5 minute, like, this is what all the humanity does. This is what we like to do kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like it was like the no brainer first single, because we've been having it in the first block of the set for probably like a year and a half now. And so like when it was time to like, structure the album, that was like, I think everyone's first pick for opening track.
Yeah. I was about to say, I think like when we were, I don't even know if we had like I think it was like the practice where we finished writing that, and one of us was like, unless anyone can come up with a better one, that's the album opener. It was just one of those, like, it's just like, it's like a smack in the face. It's just like, hey, this is who we are and what we do. And like, it was like one of us had said that, like, I remember just being like, this is the album opener unless anyone can like try to beat it. And it was just like, and then, yeah, when we went in and we're talking about it, was just still like, everyone was just like, yeah, that's what we're opening with. Like,
yeah. No, yeah, it definitely, it's like you said, like it's a good I don't know, preview of what you guys are for sure. And yeah, it's a ripper too. And it makes sense that it's the single that you guys dropped. Let's go to the next one. Upper respiratory infection.
Yeah, so that song, so all of the songs when we're working on them have joke names. They like I am bad at naming songs. It's like the last thing I do. The song will be written, rewritten, played live, and then eventually the guys will be like, Kevin, this song like actually needs a name at some point. And when we were working on, like, we were wrapping up this record, I was like, I think we need to keep one of the joke names, and this one was my favorite of the joke or the working title names. So we just kept it. I
think that was a teeny title. I think he came up with that at practice because he said something about like, oh, this song's giving me an upper respiratory infection.
Well, I think Chris was sick. Chris wrote some of those riffs when he was sick too. So maybe that's what it was. He was playing back to Papa D being sick.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like that song was one where it's kind of like a straight ahead like punk tune, and then meaning like it's kind of like the meat and potatoes of what, if you listen to some of our older catalog, it's like a lot of like what we've done in the past. But like I love the chorus of that song, and actually it's Chris wrote the lyrics for that part. So like I was kind of stuck. I was like, I don't really know what the hook is going to be of this song. I'm like working on it, and like he sent me this little idea that he had, and it ended up becoming the chorus of that song. And then the rest of the lyrics kind of like flushed out from there. And Chris has done that for me a couple times on songs, especially like on the last record. There was a couple where I was just like, I don't know where this song is going to go. I don't know where to start. And he kind of like kicks me off in the right direction and helps me flush out the rest of the tune. And I love the bridge of that song too. It's like kind of like uncharacteristic for us to have like the kind of like sweepy kind of emo-y kind of bridge thing that we did, but like I absolutely love the way that it came out with all the vocal layers. And we actually, as we're recording this, it'll be Thursday, but as you're listening to this, it will have been out. But we have a video coming out for this song that we recorded ourselves at our practice space, and it's like the first time we've done like a self-performance. Like most bands of our genre have like the music video where you're all playing in a dark room, and there's like close-ups, and then there's the faraway shots, and there's some bright lights, and then there's dark, and like whatever. We've never done one of those videos for whatever reason, just like have never done it. So when we were talking about video ideas for this record, it's like I want to do one of those performance videos, but like we play in a band that like shreds pretty hard, and like I write real self-deprecating lyrics and sometimes dark lyrics, but like when we're playing, people often say like your lyrics are so sad, but you look like you're having such a good time, and it's like because I am. I'm having the best time, and so like you'll see the video when it comes out, but it's like the backdrop is just like party balloons, and it's like super well lit, and it's like it's a kind of a depressing song with depressing lyrics, but like we're all having a blast, and it looks like a birthday party, and like it's very intentional because it's just like, yeah, we do shred, and these are sad songs, but like we are also having an awesome time. Like,
because you're getting it out.
Both are true. Yeah.
You're getting it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing too. I love like the lyrical content that you guys have is very good. It's stuff that I can sit down and like resonate with, and you know what I mean. Like I write. I don't write songs. I don't know how. That's the goal of the podcast. Once I learn how to write a song, then this is over. We're done. You know. but I do write, and like and it's like a lot of it's some dark content, and I'm like. Whew, okay, let me I gotta do something with this before, like, if I like was to just die and someone would find all these notebooks, they're gonna be like, what was this guy doing? You know what I mean?
That's what my notes like Google notepad that I have constantly, just like if you just read the one-liner things that I have written there, I was like I generally just have this rolling dozens of page thing, just like little one-line ideas. If someone was to just happen upon that, like if I'm gone and someone's just to read it, feel like, oh God, Kevin knows it's so. But it's like it's like you said, it's the outlet. So like a lot of what I'm writing isn't like a literal feeling. It's more of like a caricature of like what I could be feeling. But like it does help to get a bunch of that bad stuff out.
Yeah. So I have to do when I do a lot of like I've done like gotten up in like storytelling and stuff like that, or if you want to call it spoken word. I don't think what I do is quite spoken word, but that could also be me shitting on myself. But what I like, I make it so like it's entertaining for everyone. Like I make sure everyone's laughing at my expense. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I handle it. You know, you know what I mean? But yeah, Same thing here. Like I have and I'm a notebook like whore. I have too many. I can't. If I go to Walmart, there's a notebook coming home with me. I don't know why. It just happens. But so I have notebooks with like one word in it. I've got notebooks with like, you know, everything but like 3 pages are full, and then I open up another. So if I was to like die, someone's either going to become rich with all my writing, or they're gonna like piece together some weird serial killer kind of thing, you know. So it's gonna be one or the other. So hopefully I can get some of it out there before that. So sure. You know, no, I've always gravitated to like those kind of like, you know, the kind of like the like, and again, like the music itself isn't what's dark, you know what I'm saying? But it, like, you know, the lyrical content and stuff like that. And I love when a band can take something that's like sad or like, you know, like any kind of like an emotion like that, and kind of put this like, you makes you want to dance to it, you know, like it's I think it's a way to I don't know, we'll just say like exercise the demons within or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you got people who are going to relate to it, and they're going to like the song because it's such like an, you know, it's more upbeat than it would normally, like if you were like just in like a coffee house reading it out loud, you know what I'm saying? So it's I like that though. It's I think that's the beauty of just like being creative, you know, and like music and everything else, is because like, and I've always said that musicians were ahead of the curve when it came to like talking about mental health and things like that, you know, and I think this is no different, you know. You guys are right there, and yeah, it's a very, very good. Your lyrical writing is very good, by the way. I just want
thanks.
Yeah,
thanks. I could probably err on being slightly more positive, but it's just not my thing. What were you saying, Kyle?
I was saying, like, sometimes, like, you know, when we'll be prepping a song to play live, and, you know, like, you listen to the lyrics, but there's times, like, certain lyrics will go past you. You don't know what's being said because you're just focused on your own thing, right? And then, like, I'll have to start prepping for, like, harmony vocals and background vocals and stuff live, or like in the studio, and then Kevin will like hand me the lyric sheet of the lyrics I'm supposed to, and it's often my first time, like I guess it's one thing for me to hear it, but then when I just see it written down in black and white, and there's a few times where I was in the studio laying down harmony vocals and like seeing the lyrics for the first time, and just before he's like, "You ready to record?" Like, yeah, like, Jesus Christ, Kev. Yeah. Okay.
A wellness check.
All right, bud. I guess I'm gonna do this. I'm singing this now. And I'm like, okay. Like,
yeah.
Trevor, at one point while we were recording, the door was like just shutting in between the control room and the vocal room. He goes, "I don't know, Kev. I think you're a nice guy."
Oh man, that's awesome. That's cool, man. So, and like again, in Kyle, you're the well, quote unquote newest member of the band. The chemistry seems so good between you guys. I'm sure it's like that with the whole band. Plus, Kyle, you said you grew up. You've known the other guys for quite a while too.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Oh, by the way, so my partner's band One Fall just started practicing the next room over. If my vocal is like has too much background shit going on, I will gladly just relocate to another room.
no, you saw. I don't
Okay,
hear
cool.
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So Jim and I. So Jim and I are 38. We have known each other since we were like 13 or 14 years old. We went to high school together. We went to like Sunday school together, and Jim and I off and on in high school played in a couple of bands. Like Jim had this amazing grindcore band in high school called the Auburn System, and both Chris and I were members of that band at one point. So like, and so Chris, Jim, and myself have just sort of like all been playing music together in various forms for over 2 decades now. Like Jim is the guy who got me into Slayer. You know, like Jim got me into like Unearth and In Flames and like Converge and all these bands that became like bands that I like still am inspired by, and some of my favorite bands. Like Jim got me into a lot of the stuff I'm into, and so we've just sort of been like speaking the same musical language for a while. So being in a band and like writing, it's really nice when you've had 25 years of that, because you can sort of guess where the other person, like in a case of like Chris and Jim will bring in songs and they want bass lines because they're just like, just do what you have to do. And I'm always like, I'll do what I want, but I also can know with both of those guys where they would want my bass line to go. And it's like, oh, I think I know what Chris thought when he wrote this thing, so he's probably going to want me to go here. And like, you know, I'm not always correct, but it's like correct enough. And I think that's just because knowing each other for so long, like you just you learn how each other does the thing.
Yeah, for sure. And Kevin, like what you were saying earlier, where you'll get hung up on something, and then you say Chris would come in and kind of work it out with you, and then then the floodgates open. Like that's awesome. That's great chemistry. Do you guys, to keep the chemistry that good, is there any kind of like thing that you do, or is it just it's just there and it's just not going away? Like I know people who they've been in bands for 20 plus years, and are in a band for 20 plus years, and that what they do to keep it fresh is they all have side projects. So do you guys do any of that at all, or no? It's just what you are.
So like I would say to keep the chemistry, like we are just, this is going to sound cliche, but like we're friends first. So like we all want to push the band and do cool stuff and have as many people hear our tunes as possible, and like, but not at the sacrifice of us as friends. So like we still get together, like Chris is having a Christmas party, we're all going next week. Like we're all still just like friends outside of this first. Yeah. So like there's that part, and then I mean Kyle and Jim have a separate band that scratches a completely different itch outside of OTH. I couldn't fathom having the time for another project and my family. I think my wife would kill me. Yeah. And she's the best. She wouldn't kill me because she's bad. She would be right to kill me.
Thank you for that disclaimer.
If Shelley killed you, I would just 100% give her the benefit of the doubt. I'd be like, yeah, he probably had it coming. Whatever. I'm sad that like my friend is gone, but you shouldn't have upset Shelley to the point where she decided to kill you. Like that's on you, big guy. I don't know what to tell you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Kyle and Jim are in a band called Volanus. That is awesome. And if you like,
that's more of like a grindy. That's more of like a grindcore-ish type band.
Spell that. I'm gonna check that one out.
VIL.
I was way off.
ANVS. Yeah. We do like it's like a Latin thing. And then I'm in another band called I Was Awake. So I'm in 3 bands because I don't like having any free time. So like I Was Awake is a little more of like a oh brothery, cave-in, Deftonesy kind of thing. So it's like 3 different bands that are scratching completely different itches. And I know for me, I sort of have to have that. Like OTH is by far my most active band, but I do like having those other things just because like I can't write a Napalm Death blast beat riff to go in this band because it's just, it wouldn't make sense. Like, there's a lot this band. We always like, there's nothing we ever say is like not us, but I would say like that's decidedly not us. So I can't bring that to this band because it's just not what we would do. And like, I can't bring other bands stuff, or, this band stuff to other bands. So I like having the different things.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's like, so like when I write, like I'll have a couple different projects going because like once I feel, and it's a little different with writing because like I'll start feeling stagnant with one, like I'm forcing it too much, and then I just hop to the next thing, But it seems like you do this, so that doesn't ever happen,
Well, I mean, for me personally, I love the band I'm in. Like, I would listen to this band if I wasn't in it. So like, I don't really have another itch to scratch musically. Like, I'm very this is like what I want to be doing. So like I don't come up with things that like this wouldn't really fit this band, and if I do, we just like make it. The guys will make it work. I'll be like, hey, I wrote this thing that's like way too simple and too poppy, and I don't know if it'll work. And I'll just be like, I just give it to the guys because like I barely know how to play guitar. Like I can play some chords to be able to like record an idea like that I have vocally, and I just hand it to the guys, and they'll be like, yeah, we got it. And then they'll go make it like an actual song that people want to listen to.
Nice.
So I think that works too because just like this band can do so much. Like we have so many facets to our sound that it's like you could bring like the simple pop thing and we can play it pretty much as is and it fits next to like a shred fest that like Jim brought over or whatever. It's like I just think it works.
Yeah.
Nice. I know we're recording this a little early before the album drops, and the album had dropped on January 24th. By the time this comes around, and do you guys have anything lined up? Any shows or anything lined up yet, or probably not? Right? It's kind of early.
If you're listening to this in early to mid January, we're playing at the Midway on Sunday, January 19th, with OC45 and the Jukebox Romantics. So if you want to see a lineup that would have happened in 2014 in 2025,
I think that's a show. I think that's a lineup I saw in 2014 before
you
I
should
was
come
in
to
the
that
band.
show.
Wow, that's at the Midway.
Yeah,
that's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
If this comes out after that date, the release show for the record's going to be at Faces on Saturday, March 15th.
Ah, okay. So you got a little bit of while for the
Yeah.
Have you played Faces yet?
Yeah, we played a couple times. We played with Belvedere last year in one fall, and then we played Stanfest, a party with In the Meantime for Dan's dad, Stan, our favorite band dad. Cool spot. Great spot to see a show, play a show.
Oh, yeah.
I love Faces.
I speak about it highly all the time. My only problem is driving back to friggin' central Massachusetts. I
hear that, buddy.
Because their beer is really good. Their beer is really good. So,
and like, you want to have like several of them because they're
I know. Yeah, one time I made that mistake, and I was like, "We got to eat before."
Yeah.
Before. And then I won't say who it was, but I missed the last act, the touring. I missed the touring musician that night. Yeah,
that's why I like when we play Kodo in Salem because I could just walk home from those gigs.
Oh yeah. What was that date? March what?
15th. It's a
March
Saturday.
15th? Cool. All right, I'll make sure that one will be on there. We'll talk after this. We'll see how close you want to get it to the release date of the album. You know what I mean?
Good.
So, cool. Where can people find the Humanity? First, all right, I gotta say something. You guys have an exclamation mark in your name, exclamation point in your name, and whenever I have a band that has that, I scream it. But since you have 3 words to your name, I feel like it would be way too aggressive. So forgive me for not screaming the name of the band out loud right now, because like there's bands like there's a band from Seattle and their name is Snuggle. you know, so like, but, Oh, the Humanity. We'll just go with, Oh, the Humanity. I'll say it like more excitement than I am like aggressiveness. Where can people find you all on social media, websites? Where can they find your music, all that?
Yeah, if you go to ohthehumanity.band, you'll get our link tree, and that has all the links on it. Oh the Humanity MA on Instagram. We don't fuck with Twitter. Oh the Humanity MA on Facebook. Oh the Humanity Mass on Bandcamp, I think. But yeah, hit our link tree, and you'll find all of it.
Are you guys on like Band in Town or anything like that, so people can follow on touring and stuff?
Yes,
going on?
Please do.
I gotta use that. I've never used. I keep thinking about it, and I never like go and because like I miss the algorithms on social media. I bitch about it all the time. I've missed so many shows because they're just not showing them to me, and it's like, what the hell, you know?
Worse is when you get the show, you get the advert for the show, like it shows up in your timeline the day after the show.
Yeah,
it's like this would have been great 24 hours ago.
Right.
I would have
or like 5 hours after the show.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah. So. Well, guys, this was awesome. Please come back. The door is always open.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. This was great.
Maybe if I can, maybe at some point we can get the whole band, and I'll meet you guys, and we'll bring all the microphones and all that stuff. So
hell yeah, let's do it.
Tell Chris I apologize that he couldn't get on. I sometimes, like I said, this is a good platform, but like it's got its quirks. You know, it's still trying to work out its quirks. So. Thanks guys, and everyone check out the new album from Oh the Humanity, Ground to Dust, and it released on January 24th of 2025. We're already there.
It's crazy.
It's insane. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right, and that's the show. I want to thank Kevin and Kyle from Oh the Humanity again for being today's guests on the Struggling Artist Podcast. In the show notes, you will find all links to their social media, Bandcamp, Band in Town, all that stuff. Make sure you go pre-order that album or pick it up Friday as soon as it comes out. It's a total ripper. I want to thank Chris Chavez and Jeff Bousquet for being producers of the podcast. Head over to Instagram and check them both out. You can find Jeff at JRB Image, at JRB Image, and you can find Chris at 716 The Sound. Big thank you to State Line Records for still sponsoring this podcast after all these years. We much appreciated you, Mark. Head to StatelineRecords.com and see what's on the label, pick up some records, listen to some music. Support the local scene. Thank you, everyone over at Patreon who's supporting us. If you want to see what's going on over there, head to patreon.com/podcast TSA. The fees are inexpensive. It helps us build things, like not physically build things, but like, you know, build what we have going on. We put on, we do, sometimes we do events with the cash we get from there. You know, it's any little bit of contribution does help, and it is much appreciated. Thank you to everybody who listens to the podcast, reaches out to us via text or email or voicemail. If you need to know what those are, so you can holler at us, you can do Trev at thestrugglingartistpodcast.com. That is the email to use. You could also go with texting 774-570-1552 or calling and leaving a voicemail on the same number, 774-570-1552. All right, we're going to get out of here with a song. Oh, the Humanity was kind enough to give us a song to play at the end of the episode. This is off of their latest album, Ground to Dust. The song is called Love Irresolute. Until next week, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you then.